looking a lot different. Take a look at where I started, how it went on. Some of you may remember this patch of ceiling. So there was a bit of a leak which I stain blocked and painted over. That's not too bad, that's okay. But I'm here to remove the paper from off the walls. All the paper's coming off, and then this is what's going on. So we have sublime. So I know that this is a straight match, 64cm repeat. So fairly easy to go on, but one of the issues is I basically decorated this room about 4 years ago. I can't even find, yeah I can. So if we look here, this is the lining paper that I put on, see the joint there. So this wasn't painted. All my customer wanted me to do was strip the original paper that was in here, paint any of the woodwork, paint the ceiling, and then that was it, lined and left for my customer. So then my customer has painted the walls, skirting boards, radiators, sill, doors, casing, skirting board, shelving, again the door and the architrave. So that's all gone the wall colour. The only bit of skirting board that's left normal is that. So that's pretty straightforward. This is going to want a couple of coats because it's all going back to white. So the walls are going white, doors and woodwork, emulsion on the walls and oil satin on the woodwork, probably a radiator paint on here, and again sills, these have been painted with the walls. Now hopefully it should be fairly good stuff. So it's quite tough there. If I wet it, it's not really taking any moisture. So we have a good hard wearing emulsion. So fingers crossed it's going to stay on when I paint it, sand it. So I'm just going to, no, a bit nasty, but that is the best way. Give it a bit of a scratch test. It all seems to be quite solid. Yeah, pretty good. Oh, a bit coming off there. So I could have trouble when I start to sand. I'll see anyway. But I will have to explain that to my customer that if there is ever a problem, then it's what's underneath, because I either take all that off or seal it on. And again, it's a faulty layer. I should imagine it's a faulty layer. So it's, like I say, gone on top of previously painted woodwork, and I just know it's not been keyed. But, like I say, it has tucked to it. So we should be alright with that. Should be alright with that. A few bits of stickers to come off. Here and there. Bits and pieces, they'll easily come off. Use a bit of white spirit to clean it off. Good work. It will be when I've finished. Now, like I say, one issue that I do have is wallpaper's coming off, but this lining paper I want to keep on. So I'm either going to have to, well, I know I can strip the surface. I've already been going around just peeling bits off, so that will come off fairly easy. This has been done in patches because they run out of paper when they were doing it. That's why this piece has not been finished. It's just what paper they had. So fingers crossed I'll get the surface off and then maybe I'll wet this back and hopefully keep this on. If I start to have trouble, then I think what I might do is just paint all the walls, take the surface off, paint all the walls and glue any backing back, get a good sound surface, and then I can put my paper on top of that. Shouldn't be a problem. Sometimes you do have to do these things. I know it's been done well, I know it's gone on okay, so there's no real need for this to come off. I just have to resolve some of these issues. See if I can maybe get it off, I don't know. Save some work if I can keep it on. Anyway, get that off. That's all the paper off. Now, I was getting a bit ahead of myself before. So, this recess, that's not being papered. That's going white with the rest of the walls. So there's only the chimney breast being papered and this one wall. Now that means then that this is coming off and that's staying on. But in the corner, no joint. So it's been papered round to the joint there. So this, I'm not popping it. I'm going to cut with my blade because I want this to sit neatly, or as neat as I can, into that corner. So I'll be able to paper up to it when all this is painted. So hopefully that should come off pretty easy. Again, the blade, I'll just literally about ½ an inch onto the wall, less, ½ an inch, and just slice down. See how much needs to go. So I can take a little bit more off that. I'll come a bit tighter in. It's not really important. I can fill it. The paper will cover it. Just save me some work. I've wet that all in. Just using cold water. Didn't use warm water. I just want to be able to take the backing off. I've got my steps there ready. You can see how the paper's darkened off with it being wet. And when I took the paper off up there, the area that I did the stain block on, see behind the paper when I took it off, where there was some more water damage, but that's dry. I've checked it. You can see the difference. So that's something old. Anyway, this now, I don't really want to use my scraper on this. I just want to be able to take the backing off. So it's just going to peel off. Won't be any problem there. Started to wet the lining paper behind this wall doctor, but it's not lifting it. So I'll get this off, give it a good wipe down to get rid of any paste, and then that'll be ready for painting. Won't have any problem there. That'll just come off nice and easy. Literally falling off that. Beautiful. Yeah, don't use a scraper if you're doing anything like this, especially if you're leaving the backing on, because if there are any nibs or anything on the wall, then as you're using your scraper, you'll be catching and damaging this. Well, that's good, that can be painted on. That's not going to take me long. I'll just keep going. I'm glad that that's wall docked underneath there. That cleaned off so easy. I've decided that I'm taking the backing off this chimney breast and off this wall as well. like I say, they're the only two walls that are going to get papered. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be a problem, as in I don't have to concentrate on taking the old paste off too much. As long as it's cleaned down, no bits on it, that'll be good to go. So yeah, that's my next job. Get all this off. Well, that's all the paper off that wall now. All the backing paper off. Oh, Wall Doctor lining paper still on. That's good. Nothing wrong with that. And you see how that one's dried back. Compared, it's looking a little bit darker. But that'll dry back sound. So got a good surface there now. On this side, when I was talking about where this leak had been, well, although it's discoloured, really it shouldn't look like that. So go back up on my plank. See that there? The best way to test this, I mean, you feel it, does feel a little bit different, starts to fur up slightly, but the best way to check is on a dry patch, the old scratch test with the thumbnail, not doing anything, onto here, and it's coming off. A little bit tacky behind the paste. So there's nothing obvious. The customer says that the work outside was done before I came and patched up this area here. So the chimney had been capped and repointed. So can it still be dry now? I don't think so. I don't know. So I think what I will do is just get the paper off, have a look at the lining paper behind. It's not looking too bad. And then I might put either a damp seal on there. No point in putting a stain block on. We'll see anyway, we'll see. So I've got my sharp filling blade, just for lifting any edges. I'm not, like I say, I'm not scraping this off, but just to lift the odd edge. It is quite a tough, resistant lining paper, that. Okay, so once that's done, bucket of water, and I've got a stumpy flat brush, which now for some reason they call a wall brush. Why not a ceiling brush? I'll just remove any bits from underneath that coving edge. And then generally, just the wall wipe over. because this has been cross-lined, I'm not going to work down because I'll just be damaging the joints. Now I can drop down and carry on with the rest of this. That's all the paper off, ready to be bagged up. Carpet's down, the carpet is going, but I'm not taking it up yet because it's comfortable to work on. So I didn't need my sheets down for the paper, but when I start doing any painting, I'll get my sheets down. Just in case I drop a brush, I'm not going to pick up any bits. So now, next job, get this pelmet on, curtain rail off, blind off, and then we'll just see where we're up to, see if we're ready for painting. Again, it's only a base coat that's going on the walls, then I'll have a look at filling. I'm taking it all off because there's just no point in trying to cut in around all this lot. Again, it's all going white. So the curtain rail is screwed to the pelmet, 1, 2, 3, 4, but then the pelmet is only screwed to 2 brackets, 1 screw in each. So I'll undo those first, remove that, and then I'll just leave the brackets to be took off. So I can paint all this, I won't do it all and just do it separate. Not going anywhere. Bit dusty. Ooh. So I might even just be able to slacken these off and paint round them. Either way, no problem there. Anything to save time. Actually, I'm taking them out. They're just going to come out. These roller blinds can be quite awkward. Everyone's a little bit different. Usually you have a button to press or push it. Well, this one actually is lift and push. Little blue locking tab there. Right. There's 2 brackets. That makes life a lot easier, that does. Remove all that. Gives me a free run across this wall. So I've been going round and starting priming. I put 1 coat on this wall and took the colour out on these edges. So same with this on this side. Took the colour out. Just bring this wall in now. Not too bothered about the ceiling yet because all this is going to want another coat. So I'll paint the ceiling before I give these another coat, but get all this on first. Brighten the room up at least. A lot different now. Looking a bit bigger as well, the room is. So that's the first coat on the walls. just a base coat, just a primer really. First coat's gone on here, and I've put a second coat on this to knock that colour out even more. So looking at that, they will be getting 3 coats. This is getting papered, but I just needed an idea of how much I needed to get on. So if we just take a look over here now, see how strong the colour is behind. You can still see that pink haze. On this side, again, knock that colour out, that's still wet, but you can see the difference in the shade in there. Mind you, it's reflecting a lot of light off this door still yet, so it'll look different. See a pink glow there. Right, anyway, that's me for today. So I'll leave all this to fully dry. I've been round all the edge of the coving because again this is getting papered. So I've gone round, neatened up all those edges. The ceiling will want a coat, but that again will only want 1 coat. I did that not long back. I'm sure I did over the whole ceiling, just thinking back now, I think I did. Stain block and then coated the ceiling up. So, right, anyway, we'll have a look at it tomorrow. Oh yeah, before I go, that's what's gone on, the Wallpaper. Oh, we've got the 2-in-1 paint and primer. That's pretty good stuff. Again, they are really strong colours. Just a brief look now, see where I'm up to. So, ceiling I've finished. I put a coat on the ceiling. I put a second coat on the walls, and I've also been primed all the woodwork. Shelving, doors, even the radiator. Sill's looking a lot better, but again 2 coats of satin going on that. The coving I've not done yet. I've only done the ceiling. The ceiling only wanted 1 coat. The coving only needs 1 coat. I've gone round the edge of the coving, the underneath lip, because that had been painted the same colour as the walls. So once the walls now are dry, I'll wait for these to dry, I can paint the coving and 3rd coat on the walls. They'll be finished, won't have a problem. Like I say, I think I should be able to get 2 coats of satin on the woodwork radiator as well, so that should solve that. Bin primer, flush doors, not easy to do. You just got to get it on and just leave it. Don't keep going back over it. Work sections so you can see where I've worked to, and another section, and then another section. Finishing off at the bottom. So each section, try not coming back too far onto where you're working. It just goes on a lot better. That'll flat off. Okay, no problem. My skirting board, I've got 1 coat of oil satin wood on there. So that's freed up all that area for the paper. I brought it round the corner here, just that little piece of skirting board there. So that'll want 1 more coat to bring it level with that. So yeah, no problem there. I'll free this up. So piece of wall which is being left, that's had its 2nd coat of white. Again, freed up here now for the paper. I have actually painted the piece of coving in here. So now, again, all I need to do is just continue with the coving along here and here when I bring the walls in. This patch up here, I put some emulsion paint on. and when I've come back, it's dry. So there's no problem there. I'm going to leave it. Like I say, the problem outside supposedly has been sorted. So again, I'll always say that if it's not dry, it's not cured. So can't argue with that one. So paper can go on there, that'll be alright. Now, if I just have a quick look here, this is what the only bit that I've not painted yet. So, first coat, second coat, and if we look at the ceiling, which is perfectly white, no problem, then we look onto the wall, and you might not be able to pick it up, but there is, I can still see behind there, I can still see the pink. So that's why these are getting 3 coats. Ceilings, like I say, they've only had 1. So get that little bit done there, I'll have some dinner and let all this dry. First coat of satin wood, oil-based satin, has gone on to the sill and the radiator. They're looking okay. Gonna get a second coat. So you can see the difference now. First coat on the door and the casing and skirting board, see how the difference there now. So second coat and that'll be fine. Let's see where I'm up to now. I've got one more door and casing to do, shelves, and then I can just bring in a little piece of skirting board and take the skirting through. And that's the first coat on all this woodwork. Again, using that bin primer seals in all that emulsion paint, any of the dust. Pink dust is just, it's been going on forever and ever. As soon as I get this oil on here now, then that's it, that's the end of all that. Didn't want to contaminate any paint because it'll just, going on to other jobs, you'll have that pink hue in your paint. So sealed with bin primer. I get that painted. While the woodwork is drying, because now I've nothing else to do, got my paste bench up, I've measured and cut 3 lengths of paper ready. Also, I've plumbed a line. Now the wall was kicking out, so I've had to readjust that line so it sits comfortable. 20.5 inches is the width of the paper. I've marked my line at 20 inches, so it'll give me enough overlap around that corner just to trim off. So again, you can never trust the corners, so make measurements down the wall, plumb the line, and you'll know whether you have to bring it back in. Also, I've only cut 3 lengths of paper because this wall is out by 1/2 inch. So I'll get to this end and it's 1/2 inch taller. So cut 3 lengths of paper and I'll readjust from there on and just make them a bit longer, and just so I'm not wasting too much paper, because again it's shorter at this end. So I'll get the first length on and I'll just keep going. First length is nearly ready for going on. It's been soaking for 5 minutes and time was just ready for going. So got my cloth ready, and get into this corner, and now first one goes up. Drop this out here first, lower down, drop the tail to the floor, and then lift it into position. So looking for my line first, and literally only a few inches of paper keeping this free, just less to slide around, easier to get on. So line that up with the plumb line. Got plenty there, just take it up a little bit. Okay, that's on the plumb line. Now, smooth that on. Checking that line all the way. Okay. That's ready for trimming. That's the first length on. A combination of a blade and scissors. So mainly blade along the top, along these side edges, skirting board, and scissors around the switch plate here, socket. Okay, so get my next ones on. That's the first wall nearly papered. When I say nearly, got one small strip in the corner, 7-inch strip. So I've yet to put another coat on all this woodwork. Obviously doors, looking okay, but they do need another coat. Doors, skirting board again, shelves, door. This chimney breast, as soon as that second coat has gone on this lot, then I can paper the chimney breast. So I've already measured, and 4 lengths with a small strip here finishing into the corner. So that piece will go on when that final piece goes on. Be able to put my 4 lengths on, split the paper and put a piece in there, piece in there. But for today, that's me. This is going off, but it's not ready for another coat yet. So get it all done tomorrow, get that paper on, we're laughing. Quick look on proceedings. Windowsill and radiator have had the second coat. Put the roller blind up and pelmet, curtain rail, all that's gone back up, that's painted. Put that back up before I painted this lot. Door has had its second coat, so probably can't quite see on the skirting board there, but it's still got a slight blue tinge to it, so that wants its second coat of satin. And this, which is complete, second coat to go on there, so you can see the difference there now. And just this door to do. So all the shelves are done. Little piece of skirting board there wants doing, but you can see the contrast now. So once that gets its second coat, then it will be fine. So yeah, this is what's been going on. Dulux satin wood. Now carpet, I'm not taking up, so I've just been cut round the edge of the carpet there, so not a problem. Keep going. That's the chimney breast finished. So last small strip was took off the same length of paper, and obviously finished off in this side. That's looking absolutely perfect. So this cutting in paper around here, not easy but not difficult. So joint is sitting here, and I took it onto the wall, and then cut down just to the corner there, and then with a blade cut neatly along the ceiling here, so that allows this piece to fold round. If that ceiling here is kicking out, then you'll have a problem. You'd have to piece this side up or put some in at the top. Well, that was okay. Essential, all your plumbing when you do your lines is straight. So if you notice, running up the side there, square all the way up. This wall again, plumbing your line and making sure it's straight all the way to the end, then gives me that perfect edge up that side. So yeah, looking a little bit different now. Because of that wall doctor being on there, if the whole room had been papered, then it would have been so much of a quick turnover, just removing the surface of the paper, taking the backing off, then just continue with your paper. Any painting if you do need, any touching up. But removing lining paper, usually you end up having to do filling along the top edge of the skirting board or up by the ceiling, because usually when you put lining paper on the wall and put paper on top, you paint a certain amount onto the wall, so inevitably that's sealing the paper on there, which makes it more difficult when you come to strip. So ordinary lining paper, I would have had to have took all the backing off and gone through all that process, but that was so quick. If you do like wallpaper and you keep changing, you know, every few years you're changing the paper, then that is a good idea. But no problems there. Sometimes when you come back to a job, you do forget what you've done. So when I came in here, all this is new. I had another staircase put in, so this is the back of the staircase here, and that's why this sits here, because you have a return on the staircase. So all this was new plaster, all this was repositioned, the door and whatnot. So I painted all the new plaster and I did line all the walls, but I didn't paint any woodwork. All I did was paint the ceiling and coving, because I think originally, again, the customer wasn't sure what they were doing, whether it was going to be all papered or painted. So the windowsill, which I didn't do, again, so I've cured any cracks and gaps around there, so that's looking good. And again, the process, usually you would start on your ceiling and just generally work down, but I had that much to do down here that spending too much time up there wasn't worth it, because I had 3 coats to go on this wall. 1 coat on the ceiling, 1 coat on the coving. But yeah, I'm happy.